I'm Andrea Schrader from the Creative Dream Incubator, and this is our third episode in our pop-up podcast on creative dreaming versus the end of the world. And today our topic is looking at, are you feeling more overwhelmed than usual right now? And this is related to yesterday's topic when we're looking at, what if you're feeling so stressed out by the news that you can't create? And so this is very, very related, but another thing that is happening a lot is that we're just so easily overwhelmed. So I find that in my life too, like something small goes wrong and I'm just like, it's harder to deal with the little things because we're processing so much big, awful stuff that is happening in the world. And like emotionally, even if we're not thinking about it very much, it's impacting us. And so you may be noticing that you're more easily overwhelmed by everything. So everything that I talked about in yesterday's episode about taking better care of your creative self, so that's the solution when you're really stressed out from the news and unable to create. It also really helps with a sense of overwhelm. But for me, this is where the questions start to get really interesting when we're looking at how are we working with our dreams when we're seeing so much bad stuff happening in the world, because I believe that actually working with your dream, and I don't mean taking the ego perspective and just chasing after your dream and working your ass off. I mean, the way that I teach of like dream work and that inner connection with what you're being called for. So it's always about connecting more with your inner truth, your authenticity, your purpose, your potential, your creativity, and your power to create your outer life to reflect your inner truth. Doing that work, I find, is a cure for overwhelm, because it does connect you back in with your inner truth. Especially for us, sensitive creative types, generally our truth is always that we're more powerful than we think we are. So taking the time to do the dream work, and I have a free class about this. You can get it on my website, creativedreamincubator.com. And then I have much more in-depth, tons of classes in the Creative Dream Circle. So there's so much you can do when it comes to dream work and connecting more with that inner essence of your dreams, which is really about answering the call of your own purpose and potential. And that's what you're here for, right? So I don't have any answers about why humanity has let the world become as messed up as it is in so many different levels as it is today. But I feel quite sure that each of us has purpose and potential in us. We have magic, power, creativity, authenticity. We have the power to heal. And the more people in the world who are really deeply connecting with their inner truth and then letting that out, I believe that's how we're going to light the path. So I'm going to talk about that a bit more tomorrow too, about emotional reactivity and how that's making it really hard for us to change directions, even though we know now a lot of what we're doing wrong in terms of living in an unsustainable way, and yet we don't seem to be able to stop. That's very connected to things we do in our personal lives as well, if you haven't noticed. But our topic today is looking at, noticing how you may be feeling more overwhelmed than usual right now and what to do with that. And I'm going to pick a card from my journal cards for dreamers. What do I do with this overwhelm? What if it's easier than you think? Oh my God. That's something I love about these cards. They do always give me the perfect answer. What if it's easier than you think? And I'm not talking about solving the problems in the world. I'm talking about your own overwhelm in the moment. So what if we accept that we're all processing a lot of terrible news all the time, so we're going to be more overwhelmed than usual. So how about we just treat ourselves as though we are sensitive beings who are easily overwhelmed? It doesn't change the overwhelm. It doesn't, there's no instant solution for overwhelm, but there are ways of working with it. And you can work with it more effectively if you can just simply accept how you're feeling in the moment. So I also have a free class, which is an inner work healing circle. I'm going to link to that below too, because it's a 90-minute process, but it goes much more deeply. And if you want some support for like working through a feeling, that guides you through the whole thing, right? Because we need to find ways to process our feelings. And in the bigger picture, I think that we, humanity, are being called to step up. It's time. We have to grow up. We have to notice what we're doing that's unsustainable and just plain wrong to other people. We need all of our countries to be fair. We need like a world where everyone is equal and supported, and we have the resources to make that happen. We're just using them differently. Right? But to get there, humanity needs to wake up. I think we can all see this. So tying it all back in then, creative dreaming versus the end of the world. What's happening in the world is asking us, humanity, to wake up and start making better choices in all aspects of how we live. That's exactly what your dream asks of you as well. This is how I help people make their dreams real. I help them connect more with that inner voice, first the inner connection with the dream and what they're being called for. And then working with all the emotional stuff that's in the way and learning how to act and live from your inner truth. If we as a species were living our inner truth, the world would look much different. So that's where I start to believe that helping put the world on a better path, and me pursuing my own dream, my own purpose and potential, and my reason for being here on this planet, they're the same thing. There is no versus. This is the work we're here to do. And I'm going to illustrate that a bit better in a story that I'm going to share in tomorrow's episode. So for now, I'm going to leave you with this journaling prompt that you can ask your overwhelm. What if it's easier than you think? And again, when you're journaling about it, don't just journal the thoughts that come up. Journal the feelings and the reactions that come up, and then journal on all the tangents that come up, because it's not about finding the right answer to the question. It's always about digging into the question more deeply. So you might end up with more questions instead of an answer. And that's good. That's really good in this kind of work. So I'll see you back here tomorrow.